Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Unraveling the Darkness. Tonight, I have John Cushman from Dinner with a Ghost. Dinner with a Ghost is a one of a kind event that nobody else puts on anywhere on this planet. It is your opportunity to have an experience, gain insight, and discover more about ghosts. They are real, they are around, and this event will educate, ignite, and inspire you in ways beyond your imagination. Um, I have been lucky enough to go to a few of his events. Um, the food is great, the investigations are great, and without any further ado, I will bring John Cushman in.
Hey,
Hey, good evening, John.
it's been a while.
It's been a while. I was lucky enough to chat with you on the phone last week, and
Yeah,
but since then it has been a while.
it has been a while.
Um, in the intro, I mentioned that I have been lucky enough to go to some of your events, um, and be able to help host one.
Yes, you did.
So let's start out with what is Dinner with a Ghost.
I probably should start from the beginning, though.
Well, let's start there. Why did you start Dinner with a Ghost?
Dinner with a Ghost, um, I'm not going to say came by accident. I was on a vacation with my son going up, up and down 95 in Nevada. And because we were living out of Las Vegas at the time. And we just wanted to go up, see a couple places, one being Goldfield, Nevada. Now, a lot of us know about Goldfield, Nevada. It was our nation's largest gold strike in 1905. And, they had 50,000 people there. Now, during those times, how's that even possible? There was no Vegas, there was no Reno, there was nothing. And they're in the center of the state. So there was a school, and I decided to pull up to the school. And I wanted to go in. I also, pulled into the Goldfield Hotel, but but there was doors were locked. It looked permanently closed, which it was. For years since the war, I believe, World War II. Anyway, I went to the schoolhouse, met a gentleman, and we started talking about. First of all, what are you doing outside? He goes, I'm filling in the cracks of the schoolhouse to winterize it, to preserve it. I mean, it was cold out. It was cold out. And he stood up, wiped the um, cement off his hands, shook my hands, and he introduced himself. And the he was the county commissioner for Esmeralda County. Now, here's a guy with stature in there. He didn't live there. He didn't live in the town. On his hands and knees. And I'm telling you, it was cold. Goldfield is higher, speaking of Denver, it's higher than Denver.
No.
Oh, yeah. And I said, like I said, what are you doing? He goes, I am trying to preserve this and the town. And he explained a few more things about the town. In 1923, a liquor still, which we know what that is, I would hope, blew up in the center of town after midnight. But the problem was the 80-mile-an-hour winds that accompanied it. And it burned down 90% of the town in 2 hours.
Wow.
So that was that. And I go, what are you trying to do? He goes, I'd like to preserve the last major buildings, 11 of them. And that's what he's been working on for a long time. I said, well, can't you get a government loan? He goes, no, we've used that up. And I said, well, let me come up with some ideas how to get people to come from Vegas, which is over 3 hours, or Reno, which is 5 hours. How are you going to get people there to spend money? And that's what I went home with. And that's where I came up with Dinner with a Ghost. I had to draw people from those two locations. And with the marketing, we marketed the hell out of it, told people what it was, where it was, how it was. And the was just kept going. And people came. People came for gourmet dinner and to visit a town they've always wondered about. Dinner with Ghosts started there. It was been very successful. We were trying to do at least 4 times a month.
Wow.
4 times a month.
I didn't realize you were doing it that many times there.
Well, trying to get, just trying to get people's help.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the fact, no hotel rooms or anything. So we had to work all that out. Good friend of mine, Jim Marsh, the richest man in Nevada, by the way. Yeah, he owns a couple buildings there because he likes the historic value. And he had a home in town, believe it or not, up on a hill across from the hotel. And that's where he put us up at every time we came. Very cool. But Dinner with a Ghost took off mediocre at first, and all of a sudden it got busy, boosting it, marketing it on different things, telling people about it. And there it was. People came. We could only hold a certain amount. I think at that time we were holding 30, 35 people. But if they wanted to come for the investigation at 9 o'clock and tour the buildings, yes. And it only kept going up from there. We did a Paranormus. We did a big 7-band show. We not purchased, but we got a trailer, 2 trailers to pull in and be the stage in front of the high school.
Wow.
And got donated the speaker systems and everything for the groups coming in. And they came. Was it cold? Yeah, a little bit. We had some fire barrels going, that type of thing. But it's just making people aware. Was Goldfield haunted? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, not a lot of people investigating it, but we got permission for all buildings. So 11 buildings. But you got to remember, it's not just inside, it's outside also. Outside also. So a lot of time there, a lot of time at Gold Point, Nevada, which is about 38 miles towards Vegas. And we did that also. Amongst, people call you on the phone, say, hey, I got something in my house. We did that for a number of years. And I felt, with children in the house and this and that, people don't want to hear their house is haunted. They really don't.
Right.
So we started just, sticking to, what we could help people with. So Dinner with the Ghost was designed for historic places like Goldfield to help raise funding for locations.
Right. So you started in the school. Did you do it anywhere else in Goldfield at that time? Now, just to kind of lay this out for everyone, you're setting up this table for people to eat dinner with, and then you do an investigation afterwards.
We do investigations starting at the dinner table.
Starting at the dinner table. Sure. Yeah. Were you doing it like at the hotel or any other buildings, or was it strictly in the school at that time?
Strictly at the school, for the fact you're marketing one location in a town that people, we had repeaters, put it that way, and they had to travel from Vegas, and some came from California.
Wow.
And it got popular enough, the whole thing, dinner, investigation, that type of thing, where people were coming from LA. I had some friends come also from LA, and it took off. It took off. And we did that for a number of years. And
just in Goldfield.
Yeah. We added places on like Gold Point and other places. But everything, no matter what, was Dinner with a Ghost. And what you get for your money, let me explain. Dinner with a Ghost. You start off with champagne, more of a reception, getting everybody in there. And then during the reception, we tell them what's going to be going on. Nobody's allowed in the dinner room, like you saw in a couple places,
Mm-hmm.
and well, mainly Gettysburg or whatever.
Right.
And nobody's allowed in until it's time to be sat, and they are sat. And the table is decorated with history, as you saw, and
Yep.
it's even changed since there, my friend. It's got bigger and better.
Nice.
And it's nice to change things every now and then. In fact, we were changing it, added some more things to it. Then the Trump got trumped. So, but the champagne, they sit down at dinner. It's the product. The dinner is 4-course by a gourmet chef, and it's soup, salad, and London broil, sliced London broil with potatoes, roasted potatoes, and it's all spiced. Air Vert green beans, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, with wine and iced tea. And it goes real well. It goes real well. But, to be able to start, dinner with a ghost, second they sit down, we now start with the investigation. And you talk about a reaction. Now, as you know, we have a certain table just for the ghost.
Correct.
It's his table, like
the head of the table.
Yes, the head of the table. And we have, well, it depends on the rooms too. We could fit in anywhere,
right?
As long as it's not a matchbox, and some of the historic places, we split the table up. We were about to do a location that we had to cancel because of the Trump thing, where we separated tables into threes.
Wow.
Little different. Most we ever separated was in twos at historic home in Virginia. So as far as the dinner, and the chef makes an incredible dessert that you'll see, spirits, when you're done eating it. Wine and cheesecake, yeah.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
as you know, the gourmet chef is Deb.
Yes. So it's a family event, a family business.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're hosting, you're out front, and you're the face, and Deb is behind the scenes. Lovely woman. We love Deb. And boy, can she cook.
I call her Chef Deb there.
Yes. I'm going to jump in because I've been able to do 3 of these events.
Yes.
One as a spectator, and then you invited us to help. Gina and I helped with one. And then you're like, hey, if you ever get a chance, you fly out and you come to Gettysburg. And you set that bug in me. Now we're like, Gettysburg is one of my favorite places to be.
Yes, it is. Mine too.
So you took this show on the road.
Oh,
and we, Gina and I, got to first meet you and Deb at the Bullock Hotel in Deadwood, South Dakota.
Yes, which was great.
Such a cool place. Not only for the history of it, but also the spirits that are there.
Yes.
We did the event, we sat at the table, we got the food, and then the event's over at 11:30. But Gina and I and you sat down in the basement of the Bullock till about 2 or 3 in the morning, investigating still.
Yeah.
Went in the tunnel. And during the event, these people get to go all over these buildings and investigate.
Yes.
So the Bullock isn't the only place you've been over the years.
No.
So where are some of we'll get to the Gettysburg side of it, but where are some of the other places that you've been?
Well, you talked about Mitchell.
The Corn Palace in Mitchell, South Dakota.
We were very small on the basketball floor.
Oh boy. Yeah. When I walked in, it was completely different from the week before.
Oh yeah.
So in in the basement of the Bullock, when Gina and I are getting to our seats, we're like sucking it in and behind the seat and trying to get in. And then I walk in to see the table set up in the middle of this basketball floor. And I'm like, holy cow, that looks small now.
Well, I made sure to get the logo of the Corn Palace in front of the table.
Yes.
I mean, think about the historic places. If
And you've been to many.
Well, if nobody ever's been to Mitchell, small town, big Corn Palace.
Yeah.
And it's been around, since I believe the 1800s.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's great place. Other places, Iowa, we've done locations in Iowa. Arizona, of course.
No.
Did the Globe Jail down there. And
Okay.
yeah. Have you ever been to the Globe?
I have not. That is a place they do a Paracon and they just let you investigate. And that is a place that I would like to go.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
In Iowa, we did Malvern. I don't know if you've done Malvern at all. It's just, when I add everything up that we've done, as far as Dinner with a Ghost, it's reaching, 900 locations. And,
wow.
And, Deb's been with me for 8 years, 9 years. Baby.
Quite a while.
She, we did the RV thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when we weren't traveling, what was going on with the RV? It was parked.
Yeah.
But, any places we needed to stay, we stayed at Walmart. Why pay anything? But,
Sure.
Every location that you investigate, as you know, is different.
Oh, yes.
And if you went back next week to the Corn Palace, guess what? Different. When I took over and walked into the Octagon Mansion, now you haven't been there.
I was not. No.
No.
Let me preface this first. Like, you, from what I understand, you have one of the largest personally owned Civil War collections.
History collections, yes. Mainly Civil War.
Yes. And then you had the Octagon Mansion in Wytheville.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about that.
Well, the Octagon, which we no longer have,
mm-hmm.
we're moving things. So anyway, the Octagon, when we first got there, Deb's from here in Wytheville. It's in Wytheville, Virginia. Deb is from here. And when I was doing that walk across the U.S., I went through Wytheville, met my future wife, and met the Octagon downtown. And as I passed, I believe it called out to me and said, "Save me." So guess what we did? After the marriage in Las Vegas, where I flew her out to, we went on trips. And when we got back to Wytheville, Deb happened to know the owners of the building. It was like closed for 27 years. So you can imagine the condition.
Mm-hmm.
Got in there. If you walked in the front door with me, you would have slapped me on the back and said, "Good luck." But it's an Octagon Mansion. There's like 68 of them in the nation. And they're deteriorating,
Right.
So we invested a lot of money and started the work. We're going to put this place on the map, and which we did. And took us. Now, we were letting groups in to investigate because,
mm-hmm.
as I know, when you move things around in construction and this and that and everything else, things happen.
Right.
And they did. I had bought a card table, 4 chairs, and had the owners, the former owners come over. And they sat down with me at the card table in the dining room, because that's all was in the building, was a card table and 4 chairs. And got the equipment and started off. And within 12 to 15 minutes, a little girl came by. She only had one question. Have you seen my mommy? Check, please. I'll take it. Uh, but I had some other people there, and Justin being one of them, and Justin and whoever he had with him were doing the basement, this and that, and everything else. And of course, everything's happening now. You got a building of 27 years old. Excuse me. A place where nobody stepped foot in it for 27 years. It's basically falling down. In fact, the town wanted to tear it down. Not an octagon mansion. You don't want to tear that down. So we I lost my thought. How weird. It got to the point where I let her know how I was going to handle it, and we started, construction wise, we listed, we wanted help, and we're willing to pay good money. Not one person came through the door, and it's not because technically it was haunted. And on that subject, can you imagine walking into a place like this that hasn't been touched? And you start asking questions, and the spirits, it was owned by the Reverend. The Reverend's church was right across the street. This was his home, his family's home. And he goes, I'm sure in his mind he was saying, are they talking to us? And from that point on, and Deb actually found out he was kin of mine. 11th cousin? 11th cousin of mine. How does that happen? How does that happen?
That's great.
Yeah. So speaking of history.
Yeah. So let's go. You got that. You were still doing traveling dinner with a ghost on top of that. Because
yes.
You told me in Mitchell, you're like, you ever get a chance, come to Gettysburg and do dinner with a ghost.
Oh, that was good.
21, I head to Gettysburg because I'm taking you up on it.
Yes.
Never been out there. And anyone who watches the show knows how we feel about Gettysburg now. The whole group went out there last July.
Oh, yeah.
We've had a great time. It could be a second home to me. I would love to go there a lot. So I fly out there. I stay at the Airbnb. It's at the Ann Air Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
You have the basement, everything set up. One of the coolest things that I think I see on the table, and you have a story about that, is the crystal.
Oh.
So when we were in Deadwood, I'm like, this can't be right. Like, there's no way. And that's probably just glass. And then I get out to Gettysburg and I'm helping set up the table, and I'm like, holy crap, this is crystal. And this chunk that I'm holding is heavy as crap.
Yeah.
So
they were, it was a whole piece, remember? It was
right.
500 pounds.
One big piece of crystal.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And, got that. I visited a rock shop at one of the event. That what?
National Park.
Yeah, National Park. And Zion National Park, which, wow, was great. Went by the rock shop, and I walked in, and I saw that outside on a pedestal with a Klieg light under it. 500 pounds. You've picked up, 180 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted it. No questions asked. And the guy that was with me said, okay, how are you getting this back to Vegas? I'm like, oh, yeah. Well, let me see if I can even get it. So I went up to the front desk. Little old lady came out. I heard her coming out because I heard the Jaws theme. And she came out. Yeah. She goes, yeah, I'd like to buy the crystal out front under the Klieg light. And she quickly answered me, no. You can't have it. It's been there 130 years. It will remain there. 100. And Travis, who was with me, was Travis? Yeah, whatever. Tapping me on my shoulder. He says, we'll come back. Okay. And, we did some things, went down to Zion National, and I felt it was time to go back. He goes, okay, let's go back. And as I was just about turning in the parking lot of this place, he goes, turn here. What do you mean turn here? It's a McDonald's. Turn here. He's got an idea. He went in, came out with tons of bags of food, drinks, more than a bus could eat. I go, what are you doing? He goes, trust me. Do you want that rock? Yeah. We went over there. It was empty because the park was open. He gets in there and stacks the stuff all the way down the front counter. And here it comes. Short, probably 4 foot, nothing. She gets out there, sees the stuff on the counter, and she goes, I'm trying to hold the bad language. Bottom line is, what the hell's this doing here? And I said to her, I noticed you were by yourself during that rush of people flowing in before the park opened. She goes, yes. And you probably haven't eaten all day. You haven't had breakfast or lunch, and it's getting late. And she goes, yes. We thought we'd buy you some lunch. She cried. It was time to get the rock. I said to her, I will give you $760 for the stone out front, the glass. And here it comes. I figured she's going to say no. And she goes, okay. McDonald's did this? That's better than a Happy Meal. So that's when we had to figure out how we get. I had a Volvo at the time. And I asked her, I asked Travis, do you think it'll fit in the trunk? It was only one way to find out. So we backed up to the pedestal, and it was even with the rock. So we backed and forthed it and got it into the back of the Volvo and took off for 2 hours, about 2 hours back to Vegas with this massive rock opened up in the trunk. So got it home. My boys came out, helped get into the back on the pool wall. And of course, later on, I installed a Klieg light. And I'm surprised the airport didn't pull up to me and say, you need to ditch that thing because it was that bright. You couldn't look it directly into it with that bright light in it. So years went on with it, and it was time to move to Las Vegas. Terrible place. No, just kidding. I went over to it. I wanted to wedge it a little bit, see how we're going to get it out of there. The second I moved it, it broke into all those pieces. So it wasn't very hard getting the crystal out of it. And I thought right away, boy, this would be a great table setting thing. Put it on the center of the table.
Yep. And that's where it is now. And it's amazing when you see it all lit up.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So,
yeah.
So I go to Gettysburg, table set up, and we do 3 nights of dinner with a ghost. This is also the first time that I get to go out and investigate in Gettysburg, and it's such an amazing place. When you pull into Gettysburg, you feel the energy of the place.
Without a doubt.
And such an amazing place. So I think I have 2 stories from Dinner with a Ghost.
Oh,
and
good.
I want to share those now. I'll start with the Bullock Hotel. When we were finished after the event, the 11:30, and then it's you and us, and you and Gina and I sitting downstairs. We start talking to a little girl down there, and then she brings her friend, and we're talking to them, and then this cowboy shows up, right? And Gina's like, "Oh, there's a cowboy here." I'm like, "Cowboy or miner?" And that's when I'm like, well, here's some Black Hills Gold. And she goes, he's not impressed. Now you have this pool ball that you put on the table, this billiards ball. It's a cue ball that you've taken everywhere since you've started Dinner with a Ghost.
Yes.
Everyone hears the story about this. It's rolled off the table. It's been thrown across rooms. It's done all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we go to bed that night. We wake up the next morning, and Gina and I go to breakfast. We're sitting in the back on the main floor of the Bullock, and we're in the very far corner, order our stuff. And there's two girls that, if anyone's been there, their back room was a bar.
Right.
And they do some small breakfast stuff on like a hot plate burner or whatever. And these two girls are sitting at that bar and they're like, what's this? And I pay attention to the room and I kind of look over, they're like, it looks like a billiards ball and there's no pool table in there. And I was like, are you kidding me? And Gina looks at me and she goes, that cowboy's standing right here.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to know if you're impressed. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So, and that's when we went down and told you, hey, your billiards ball is up in
a traveling billiard ball,
the dining room.
Yeah.
And funny thing was, Justin's like, no, I just took that off the table not long ago and it's right over here. And he couldn't find it on the bench. So that was it up there. And that one is one of the great stories that I have from Dinner with a Ghost. The second one is Gettysburg. We have our group. We have a mom and a son. The son is pretty much doing like an Estes session almost, but not blindfolded.
Right.
Younger kid in his teens. And there's a hidden room at the inn. Right. So we take them all around. So we're into several different groups and we have one in the basement and one on the main floor. We go outside. But we're in this hidden room in the basement and we start talking to an 18-year-old Confederate soldier who is scared for his life. And we're getting all this, like this kid, we're asking questions and this kid can't hear us. He has his headphones on or whatever he had. And so we're asking a name and we get a name and I can't remember what the name was at the time, but it doesn't matter, you know, and how old are you? And what side are you fighting for? Confederate. And he was just scared. And that was absolutely amazing. That was one of the highlights for me the first time out to Gettysburg, like getting to check out this place that was a Confederate hospital. And anyone that's been there or knows the history knows that a lot of these hospitals, we got to go on a tour this in July, and they would take the doors off the hinges and use them as a table.
Yes.
And they're putting chairs together and putting these doors across them. And if you were gut shot, they pull the bullet out. Most likely you're going to die from infection because they didn't have all this stuff back then. 1863, right? If you had a head wound, we're going to wrap it up and we'll see what happens. Yeah. If you were shot in the arm, they're cutting your arm off. They're throwing it out the window and patching you up. And, you know, so this Confederate hospital, they're doing this type of things there. And it was just one of the coolest places. And I made sure to take the group out there like, hey, this is where I got to investigate. And we walked around and they were all able to check it out. But those two stories, those two experiences with Dinner with a Ghost are embedded in my ghost hunting mind, my paranormal mind. And I know anyone that has been to the events and had something like that happen still remembers it.
Well, not just that. Tell me what happened when we were coming back from the investigation, heading back towards the table, coming across that big floor, headed towards the table, and still a ways out. And we heard this sound.
Yes. So even on the main floor of the inn, you're hearing cannon fire.
Yes.
You know, and there's nothing going on outside. Like it's 10 o'clock at night. There's nothing big out there. That's one of the coolest things. I have EVPs from the battlefield because several of us that, you know, you've told this a lot of people. Hey, you get a chance, come out to Gettysburg, check out Dinner with a Ghost. So it wasn't only me that was there. It was Christy. Christy used to do lives. Now she has a Stevenson building. We've had her on the show.
Yeah.
Greg Bakken out
Yeah.
of Minneapolis. He has his show every night that you guys can go listen to. And then Lyle Law and his group, the Twisted Realm people out of Virginia that were up there, and these have all become great friends of mine in the paranormal field, along with you. Um, and we're all the paranormal minded people, and we debunk first. Every single one of us that I named debunk first. And there is no way that you're hearing a cannon go off, because that's not a car backfire. It is a completely different sound, or you're in the middle of the wheat field hearing musket fire, hearing a bugle. We came around the corner to the wheat field and I heard a bugle. There is no one out in the middle of these fields at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning playing a bugle. Such an amazing place. And it's stuff like what you do to bring people to somewhere that they get to see these historic places. And it made me go back, and it made me love a place that I want to go to every year.
Were you a part of that 2 a.m. investigation of the wheat field?
Yes. I did or did not go on the wheat field when it was closed.
That's right. I'd like to bring that. Yeah.
Yeah. For 3 nights, several of us went out to the not just the wheat field, but up around Devil's Den. And then from Devil's Den, you come over into the area, and then the wheat fields there. And that's kind of the area we stayed in for those 3 nights. And shadow figures. There's a picture of a shadow figure that was caught in one of those nights. All the sounds. There's no one out there. And when you're driving and you're you're coming down a road this way, and you're making a U-turn and coming back, and then you're hearing people talk on the other side of the hill that you were just at, it's a crazy place. And it's no wonder that somewhere like the Inn at Air Ridge is a great place to hold dinner with a ghost, or any of these places that you go to.
Right.
Because you are finding those historic places, and it doesn't matter where it is. Something with that kind of history is always going to have some kind of spirit activity.
Plus, you have to know your history. You can't go in and start asking questions, about Trump or something,
Right.
We had one guy ask, I can't think of the haunted guy, but it was from a movie. I said, okay. No, you get those every now and then.
Right.
But if you know your history, you ask questions. Like Gettysburg, you're in a hospital. You talk to the doctor, and we've had a response for that. In fact, we had big response from that. We had talked to him, and he caught on right away, and he told us, my question to him was, how do you deal with the blood? And his comment to that was, it's up to his knees.
Mm.
And then the pyramid outside the window, what do you do with the body parts? Open the window and throw it out. Well, the body parts got so high, they could not reach the top of it. And they have pictures of that. The other is that the Hare Ridge was the beginning of the battle. Beginning of the battle there. And that basement you talked about over there, where the shelves pulled out, in the dining room area that we used, that was to hide slaves. Part of the,
Part of the Underground Railroad?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. They go north, Who would expect to find anybody even looking in a small farmland of Gettysburg? So it was created. They waited, and it. Who'd ever figure there was a battle where 58,000 men perished,
Yeah. The deadliest
and
uh,
yeah,
battle.
you
Yeah.
can't tell me that there isn't spirits and emotion there. It, like you said, you could feel it the second you walk in.
Yeah.
I don't care where you go there. Second, your car pulls in and you step out. We were going to try the ultimate, Deb and I. We were going to try to hold Dinner with a Ghost on Sachs Bridge.
Oh,
Can you even
wow.
imagine?
That
Even
that'd
imagine?
be cool.
Well, I talked to I talked to the people in charge, and they thought about it. They go, and I called him back and said, "We'd really like to do this." And his response was, if we do it for you, we got to do it for everybody else."
Well, that's true.
And it's private property. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, huh.
That's not government property there.
Oh, I did not. I know that it's a busy place.
Well, can you imagine being set up in there and that was the main pathway to Gettysburg for the Confederates? Walking through that bridge and riding through that bridge? That's big.
Yeah.
But to
Yeah.
do Dinner with a Ghost there, and do something different. Don't keep going to the same places all the time. Do something different.
Yep.
And that's the biggie. That's the biggie. But places like that, like whoever figure we do the Corn Palace. Really? The Corn Palace? We came back up from that basement after investigating what was rolling across the floor. That was incredible. I was
Oh,
impressed. That
you know,
pool ball.
yeah. And then like you have, the Ovilus saying, you and I, the second night, you and I we were with the group, we would go
Oh,
backstage and
that's
we're
right.
doing that. Then the group separated and you and I like just investigated,
Yeah,
and we're walking up next to all the pictures of the Corn Palace over the years.
right,
And the Ovilus is saying little things like chief. And as we walk by, there's a
right.
Indian chief on
They
the
were on the
thing,
tour with us.
or it was almost giving us a tour.
Yes.
Um, yeah, the places you pick have been the ones that I've been to have been amazing. I'm sure that they all have been amazing at somehow. So now the question is, where is Dinner with the Ghost going?
Well, we've canceled a few due to
It's a tough time for stuff like this.
people don't want to spend money. In fact, Gettysburg was slow.
Yeah.
And you have kids starting up now for school, and parents got to spend that money. And hotel rooms were anywhere from 500 to 700 a night. Who? They're what? And even the Academy, he was 3.5, and that wasn't going to sell. You pay that kind of money for 2 days. You go out, gas at $6 a gallon. They live in Florida, so they drove all the way up there. They can't spend that kind of money.
Yeah.
Can't spend that kind of money. So we're doing in November. We just canceled, of course, our one for the end of this month. Great place. But it was the Cambria Old Stone Jail. Very cool.
Yeah.
We're doing the Civil War Hospital in Ashland, Virginia.
Oh, that
Love,
should
love,
be amazing.
love hospitals. Love hospitals. Because you can't, I was going to tell you about that surgeon we talked to. To make a long story short, I asked him where he was going to go after this, after the war. He goes, I said, are you going back to Georgia? He goes, there is no Georgia. Oh, his house is no longer there. So where are you going? He goes, I'm headed west. Headed west. Here's a guy that has dealt with the Civil War for those years, up to blood, as he said, to his kneecaps. A lot of dead. and he hopped a wagon train, started going out there, got most of the way out there, and he died. And he wasn't an older gentleman, so his purpose in life must have been saving lives. He just about got there. Unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable.
Well, it's super cool what we do. And you can tell, and I know you have been across the country doing this. You can tell the difference between how the spirits act out on the coast where you are, and then how they are out west.
Oh yeah.
The West is still pretty young, right?
Yes.
And we get these ones that fought the Civil War, and then we're moving. We're going out west. They're a little more gruff, They've put up with all this fighting and all this stuff. They're more gruff. They're a little more hardened. Out here we're investigating saloons, old brothels, stuff like that, and it's really gruff. Like you're getting some pretty rough spirits out here.
Yes.
As far as like responses that you're getting, and back there you're getting the wartime people. You're getting the old sanitariums that you have, and the old hospitals and the old prisons that are shut down and stuff. And then, I mean, what are you getting out in Vegas in that area? You're seeing like probably mobster time, right? You're getting those types of spirits. So across the US, you're getting this split up area and different types of
gold.
So you're
mining.
So you're getting that same thing with the saloons and the brothel people, right? And
Plus,
the miners.
There were Indian wars.
Right.
There were Indian wars. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. And it's a treat in history. Where else can you talk to somebody 150 to 300 years ago? That's a biggie. That's a biggie. If you know how to talk to them, you don't threaten them to talk. They're just people. I tell people, if you're going to try to talk to somebody, pretend they're standing right in front of you. And they say, John, there's nobody there. There may be.
Yeah.
Make a friend. There should be no threat towards them. We've had some people that investigated and they threaten. We don't bring them back. Why screw up the Reverend's home?
Yep.
And that was a good place, especially when it was finished and we were rolling along with it, and Dinner with the Ghosts there, please. Just, it's amazing. By the way, I stopped calling him a reverend when I found out he was my cousin. I called him Cuz. That was his table for Dinner with a Ghost. Nobody allowed. And when you delivered food to him, he had a soup. And then you brought salad. He had a fit. He goes, salads for horse. All this is for horses. So that went on for a while. And, I went back, told Deb, and we decided, we like the reaction. Don't do it every time, but do it. And he got to the point where he'd shut off the equipment.
Oh, geez.
Throw my recorder on the floor. One time we forgot to put the bourbon on the table. Bourbon. Importante. And it was quiet. Nothing was happening. And I noticed it wasn't on the table. I ran back and got it and put it on the table. All of a sudden, it's like you flipped a switch.
Wow.
He wants his bourbon. Bottle on table at all times.
Now, being able to be in a place like that where you're constantly in there and you really get to know the spirits. Yeah, we've had a place here that we were able to do that for a couple of years and really get to know. And same thing, I'll tell you, the whiskey and the bourbon is a great trigger item because we were at like a clubhouse type place.
Yes.
And same thing in the billiards room. If you brought the whiskey in, that guy was going to talk to us.
It's attention getting.
Yeah.
Talk
Well,
about
John,
trigger object.
it's a great trigger object. Uh, Time has gone by so quick, and it's great to see you and have you on the show. I'd love to have you back on again.
You just let me know when.
Yeah. We'll get you, see where you're going to be, and then we'll come and bring you back and talk about the new places you're at.
Well, don't force yourself to come to the Civil War Hospital if it happens.
Well, it wouldn't be this year, but if you're there in a year or two, who knows? I got to save up to do those long travels.
Oh yeah.
We're getting ready to go to Kansas in a couple weeks, to an old hotel that saw the likes of Bat Masterson and Wyatt Earp and Belle
Sure.
Starr, Harry Houdini. So we're excited to get in there and investigate. We're in there for 2 nights. So
Very cool.
it'll be a fun time. Well, sir, I'm going to put you into the green room. I'm going to close out the show, and then I'll chat with you again.
Okay.
Dinner with a Ghost. This, if it's in your area, if he starts taking it across the country again, John, you need to. It's a great event. Places that he's been: Gettysburg, Deadwood, South Dakota, Arizona. You sit at this table, you get to eat great food, you start your investigation, and then you investigate the building, after the food. Coolest event that I have gone to, ran by someone else. And you can't beat the food. Chef Deb, I know she's listening. Great gal and makes great food. So if you see it in your area, follow their Facebook page, Dinner with a Ghost, and you will see where they are at. And everyone, thanks for watching tonight, and have a good night.
Unraveling the Darkness would like to thank Horn Paranormal Research for sponsoring our show. If you're craving more paranormal content, don't forget to check out our YouTube and Facebook channels at Way Out West Paranormal and Unraveling the Darkness. You can catch all of our episodes of Unraveling the Darkness on Apple Podcasts, Facebook, and YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe, as it helps others find the show and join in on the paranormal fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, keep your lights on, stay safe, and remember, the truth is out there, and it might just be closer than you think. Unraveling the Darkness would like to thank Horn Paranormal Research for sponsoring our show. If you're craving more paranormal content, don't forget to check out our YouTube and Facebook channels at Way Out West Paranormal and Unraveling the Darkness. You can catch all of our episodes of Unraveling the Darkness on Apple Podcasts, Facebook, and YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe, as it helps others find the show and join in on the paranormal fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, keep your lights on, stay safe, and remember, the truth is out there, and it might just be closer than you think.